Hello wonderful people, it's Wild here. Today I'll be showing you how to build this Dark Sculk block Wizard's Tower. This build uses deepslate and the new 1.19 Skulk blocks to create a build worthy of the deep dark, and it's complete with a Skulk block vein growing up the side of the tower. Here are the materials for today's build. If you are in survival and can't get any of these, leave a comment down below and I'd be happy to offer some suggestions for alternatives. Here is the outline of today's build. You can see it is a circle with a radius 3 blocks from the center to the wall. Now you can see I've got the center marked in here with an andesite block. That's what I'll be using for my floor. And we can see there's the 1, 2, 3 block gap here. And then at the front I've got a gap ready for the door. And you can put in an outline like this to help you build, as we'll be placing over all of these blocks. We'll begin our build working with some deepslate tiles and some cracked deepslate tiles. Now you can mix in the cracked deepslate tiles as you go, as they provide a lovely contrast in texture. It's subtle, but it makes a big difference over the course of the build. I'm starting by creating a 3x3 square with my tiles, like this, on the flat faces of the tower. I find it easier to break my tower up into sections, so we've kind of got the corners here and then the flat faces. When you come to the side with the door, we'll just leave a 2 high gap for our doorway and create a frame like this. Once we've got those 4 walls in, I'll build an additional 2 high on top of each. Like that. Now we want to fill in the corners, and I'll just do this 1 high. And then we'll build up an additional 3 high on just these 2 diagonal pieces, leaving the very corner of the corners empty. And 1 higher, so it should sit 1 above where we've got our wall level on the flat faces. Here's the base of the tower so far. For the next step, I'm going to be filling in some more of these flat faces by building up 4 high, 1, 2, 3, 4, on either side, and then filling in the gap in between. So it should sit 2 above this kind of point here. The idea for this tower is that it's going to taper in and then taper back out as we get to the top. So that's why we're creating a bit of a slope here. If you're enjoying this tutorial and would like to see more, please consider subscribing. So now we've got to fill in the corners, and I'll just build up to the same height. So you can see we've got a circle on the top here, but it's a bit smaller than the circle we began with. Now for the next layer of our tower, on the flat faces I'm going to build up 3 high. And then to fill in the corners, I'm going to build an additional 2 high in the very corner like this. And then I'm going to connect them over. So you can see we've kind of got a square shape with these pointing up bits. Next, I'll place 1 on these diagonal blocks, leaving the corner free. like that. And then I want to build across the back to create some more flat sides. And I'll go up one more layer on top of this. Let's have a look. You can see it's got a nice smooth curve going up towards the top. Now from here we're going to go straight up, and we're only going to be using deep slate tiles for the rest of this part of the tower. So with my deep slate tiles, I'm going to go an additional 9 blocks on top of what we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now the reason I'm not using any cracked deep slate tiles on this section is I've got my warm bit towards the bottom of the tower, and I kind of want to have a change as we go up towards the top. We'll have lots of details going on here, so we don't need the cracked deep slate tiles to provide us with that kind of detail. So you can see the tower is getting really quite tall now, and we're going to start curving back outwards. So I'll be building 3 high, 1, 2, 3 on the corners of what we've got so far. And then I will be coming out 1 block and building another 3 high. I'll also be filling in each of the corners. Like this. From here, I'm going to be building a 3 wide section across each of the flat faces. And filling in the corner as I go. And you can see that this part is too high. I'm then going to build a little U shape like this, so 1 more all the way across, and then I'm going to build 2 up, leaving a gap in the center. I'll then come forward to fill in those gaps. And then I want to fill in the corners, leaving it 1 below the top here. And then I'll connect up like this to fill in the gap. Here's how the circle should look from above. It's kind of a square with its corners chopped off and with a point sticking out. Now for my last layer, I'm just going to build 3 across each of these flat faces. And then I'm going to create a little corner piece to fill in each of the corners. So this is the base structure of the tower done. I'm going to add my platform on top so we can add the top of our tower. Now for this, I'm going to build out 1 block in front of each of the faces. And for this I'm using some cobbled deep slate. I like how its lighter color provides a contrast to the dark base of the tower. Then I'll come out from here and create a corner connecting the sides, so it's a 3 wide piece on each of the sides like that. The center can then be filled in. Now I'll be breaking a hole in this later to add in my access from the bottom of the tower, but I prefer to just fill this in and make that kind of decision later, as it's only 1 block, so it's not really using up any materials. There we go. And if you're building this in survival, don't forget to go light up your tower at this stage. Now I'm going to go in with some cobbled deep slate stairs, and I'm placing these upside down. So either side of the 3 wide sections on the front faces, you can see I'm placing it on a curve. So it curves around like this. Once you've gone all the way around the build like that, you'll want to come forward on each of those 3 wide faces. This is creating a nice big circular platform for us to build on. That's all of them done. So from above, here's how our circle should look. So it goes 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, all the way around the circle. And from below, you can see the nice platform we've created. Now I want to add some details to the top part of this tower base. I'm going to start by using some deep slate brick walls and placing them on the front face like this on these 2 blocks here and here. I'll also place one underneath this stair and then use that to place a deep slate tile bricks facing back in towards the tower. So it should look like that. I'll then place another deep slate brick wall underneath here. Then a stair coming forward, slab underneath, and then an upside down stair also facing forward. So this should create this really interesting shape. Now I want to create this same design on the other 3 sides of the build. The pointiness really adds to the ominous look of this tower. Now in the corners here I also want to add some walls, but I'm just going to be placing a deep slate brick wall underneath here, and then a polished deep slate wall underneath here. And we'll also be hanging some lanterns off these later. Now I'm coming down to the bottom of the tower to add in some more details, starting by adding in the floor. I'm using polished andesite here, but you can use whatever block you'd like. I've tried to stick to materials that you can find in the deep dark, and there is actually quite a lot of andesite in the deep dark, and I also like its tiley texture. Now of course you'll want to light up your whole tower, but I'm just going to add in a few torches for now. Now let's work on our door. I'm going to start by placing in a warped door on the outside flat surface here, so it's flush with the wall, and then I'm going to build a frame. I'm using a Skulk Screeches here. They have a really cool texture. Then I'll place some polished deep slate walls above that and create a little archway with some more polished deep slate. Here we go. Now for a really ominous alarm, I'm going to break the block here, place in a Skulk sensor, and then place some grey carpet over the top. So that way, when anyone approaches your house, you're certainly sure to know about it. The next detail we're going to add is a vein of Skulk spiraling up the height of our tower. So for this I'm using Skulk block and I'm coming to the right hand side. Now depending on the angle that you build, you'll have more or less Skulk showing. So if I built at a shallow angle like this all the way around the tower, more of the tower would be covered in Skulk than if I instead went up at a really steep angle. So to get the best of both worlds, I'm going to go up at about a 45-degree angle, and I'm just going to place it a couple blocks thick, leaving gaps and holes as I go. Of course, this is one of these things where you want to take a step back every now and then and look at what you're doing and make adjustments. And I'm aiming to have 3 bands worth of spirals when I'm looking from the front. As I'm coming across the front here, I'm going to step back and see if my placement is about right. And I think so. I might move it up just a little bit by moving some of these blocks around. And then I'll continue spiraling around my tower. And you can see this is working out well. I'm almost at the top of the tower and I'm coming across the front once again. I might even come up just a little higher with some of my blocks. And there we go, I'm all the way at the top now. Let's take a look from the back and from the sides and have a look from the front as well. Now I'm pretty happy with my distribution, but I'm going to go in and make a few changes. Just add some little gaps here and there, add a little bit of dimension, and just check that I'm happy with the whole thing. I think that's pretty good there. Yep, oh okay, I think that's great. Now I'm going to switch to some Skulk vein to add another texture to this part of the build. So I want to go above and below, going onto the wall as well as onto the Skulk. I don't want to cover absolutely every block here, just adding bits and pieces, kind of like the Skulk is growing out and taking over the walls. Alright, so I've done the top side now. Now I'm going to come back underneath the Skulk to add some more. Now if you don't want your Skulk screeches to go off every time you walk in, you can replace these with another block. I'd suggest using reinforced deepslate. Alright, there we go, I've spiraled all the way around, and then I'm going to go in like before and make some adjustments, taking a step back. And I can place in some more and break some where need be. Now this is looking really good, but I want to add some movement to the tower, so I'm going to go in with some Skulk sensors. Now you can place as many or as little of these as you'd like. It just depends on how many you have really. I like to place them in groups of 3 and some singular ones as well as groups of 5. And I've got these going up the tower and I'm putting them in some of the little holes on top, just scattering them here and there to add some life. And I think I can squeeze in one here. Now if we take a step back, you can see that little bit of movement makes a big difference. It kind of looks like the Skulk is coming to life. The final details to add to this part of the tower before we get working on the top are some soul soil fires. And I'm just placing these around the base of the tower here. Going with my soul soil first, and then I'll light these on fire. The blue glow adds a great pop of colour here. Look at that. And then I'm going to come up and hang some lanterns from chains. Now I want to hang these down quite far. I think 1, 2, 3, 4 is a good start from these kind of longer hanging sections. And I want to hang them at all sorts of heights. So this one I might hang a little lower. This one maybe only 3 down. And this one I'll hang a little lower again. And then I want to hang some more lanterns off of these hanging sections here. So not this brick section, the one up from that on the corner. And these ones are going to need to hang quite far down, so they're at a similar sort of height on the build to these ones. Once again, I'm hanging them at various heights. The number of chains you'll use here will depend on how you hang your lanterns. So you might need a few more or a few less. It's always good to take a step back and see where they are in comparison to the rest of your lanterns. That looks fantastic. Now to work on the top part of our tower. I'm going to start with some deep slate bricks and place 3 across each of the flat faces of the circle. Then I'm going to come in 2 from either side like this to create a slightly smaller circle. This is what we're going to be placing our pillars on. I'll start the base of my pillar with some polished basalt. Once again, this is a great block found in the deep dark. And you can see I'm leaving 1 block gaps between these 3 and then a 2 block gap on the corner. Here's an overview of the placement of those pillars from above. Then I'll go on top of each with 3 reinforced deep slate. Now if you're building this in survival and don't have access to this much reinforced deep slate, you could totally substitute it with some more polished basalt. I'll then go on top of each of these with some more polished basalt. And then I want to create the same circular shape as the base with my deep slate bricks. So this has given us a cylinder to work on. I'm going to go in with some details now for these pillars, coming out from the top and bottom and then placing a polished deep slate wall here and here. And make sure when you rotate round the build, you're rotating the direction you place your polished basalt. For the windows, I'm going to start with some deep slate tiles, and I'm coming inside the build here. Now, my windows are going to be made out of blocks, so I want to place the deep slate tiles underneath the location of each window. Then I'll build up the height of the window with tinted glass. You can use regular black glass if you don't have tinted glass. And then I'll place some more deep slate tiles across the top. I'm actually going all the way across these 3 wide sections. Then I'll come to the outside and I'm going to switch to some deep slate brick slabs and place them underneath the bricks in front of the windows. I'll then grab some Skulk veins and I have to place them so they kind of look like they're growing up the side of these windows here. Now I just want to do this on the corner windows. Now I've placed this Skulk in here to add a bit of blue to the top of this build because we've got quite a lot going on with the blue spiraling up the sides of the tower. It's important when creating a build to have elements flowing throughout, so we've got the Skulk down here, the Skulk up here. Now I want to bring some of these lanterns up towards the top as well. But before we can do that, I need to add something to place them on. So I'm going to be starting on the very base of the roof. I'm placing some deep slate tiles on top of each of these basalts, so just on the 4 sides. Then I'm going to switch to some Skulk blocks and come one out from each of the blocks. Then I'll come on top of the basalt and come across 2, and then fill in the corner as well. I can then place an edge of deep slate tiles all the way around. Now that that's in, I can hang some lanterns on the corners underneath these Skulk blocks, and I want to hang them around 2 or 3 blocks down. I'm going for various heights here. Here's how the top of the tower is looking so far. And here's how it looks when we step back and look at the whole build. Our next task is to add in the roof. Now I'm going to come up to the top here and I'm working with deep slate tiles to begin with to create an outline for our roof. So we've already got a slab and a block. Now I'm going to come up on the diagonal with another block. I'll come up on the diagonal again, but this time 2 high. Another 2 high, and I'm always working in towards the center here. Next I'll go up 3 high, 1, 2, 3. Another grouping of 3, 1, 2, 3. And this will bring me to my very center, and I'll go up 3 blocks here as well. Now I want to create this same arching shape on the other 3 sides. And you should see it should all meet up in the center. Now that I've got these blocks in, I'm going to switch over to some deep slate tile walls. I'm going to place one on this first layer here, like that. Then I'm going to place one here and 2 here. This is just providing some connection between the deep slate tile blocks. And then I'll place another 2 here and 2 here. And then I'll finish off with 2 more on the very top, creating a nice point. And you can already see the shape of the roof forming. Next we need to fill in each of the corners with some Skulk blocks. Now take your time here as it can be a little bit tricky, but we'll work in layers. I'm going to start by creating a plain kind of curve, just filling in the gap here, like that. Then working up, I'll fill in the corners. And this corner piece. and come on top like this. Then I'll come up 2 high on either side and fill in the center 2 high, and come to either side again. Come up 1 more, and then I'll just fill in the corner. Just like that. And I'm actually going to come up 1 higher here, and this is why we've placed in these walls to add some connection. So you can see it's creating a nice swooping shape. I want to create this same shape on the other 3 corners. Let's take a look at the roof. Isn't it a wonderful wizardy looking point? Now I've just finished putting in some twisting vines as the access here. Now if you're decorating this, don't forget you can put in floors all the way up this build, and since there aren't any windows on this base tower, you have plenty of wall space. Let's have a look from the outside. Now I've decided to place my Dark Sculk Wizard's Tower on top of this snowy slope. This provides a really cool contrast between the dark build and the light surroundings, and it really makes the build stand out. As for landscaping, I really wanted to let the build shine, so I've just added a broken up pathway and some lanterns, as well as a bit of Skulk and some Skulk sensors leading up to my door. But the whole thing is quite simple and really lets the build stand out. Another good tip if you're building in creative like I am to add a magical glow to your Skulk vein is to use light blocks. Now you can see I've placed these going up my vein, and it adds a really cool glow. And to get these, all you need to do is type Minecraft/Minecraft:"give", then your name, and then Minecraft:"light. And that'll give you one of these wonderful little things, and you can go and place them on your build. And of course, you can employ these decorating techniques in any biome, not just to snowy peaks. This would look great on a stony mountain, perhaps in a massive deep dark cave, or anywhere you'd like. It's up to you. If you enjoyed today's tutorial, please consider giving it a like and subscribing if you haven't already. It really means a lot and helps me out. And if you'd like to support me further, check out my Patreon in the description below. See you in another video!